Then, for me, what's been most impressive is that really from day one, the way that he's integrated into the clubhouse, the way that he communicates with guys, the way that he's built connections.
This is a prolific hitter. He's one of the best hitters to ever come over from Japan.
He is a three true outcome monster.
メジャー移籍1年目の村上宗隆選手。NPB で王貞治氏のシーズン本塁打記録を塗り替えた日本三冠王。そんな選手がメジャー挑戦を表明した時、現地メディアは1億ドル規模の契約を予想していました。しかしなぜかその評価は割れました。最終的に村上選手の手元に残ったのはホワイトソックスとの2年3400万ドル、実力を証明するための契約と呼ばれたいわば格安契約です。ところが蓋を開けてみればどうでしょうか。メジャー1年目のルーキーがあのアーロン・ジャッジ選手と本塁打王争いを演じているのです。打席での圧倒的なパワーと選球眼、クラブハウスに溶け込む人柄、そしてコーチ陣をも驚かせる吸収力。開幕からわずか1ヶ月、現地ではすでにあの契約は安すぎた、長期で残留させるべきだという声が上がり始めていました。なぜこれほど早く評価が逆転したのでしょうか。そしてなぜ村上選手は2年3400万ドルだったのか。現地は今何を語っているのか。まずは契約の話からです。
Well, a lot of people thought he was going to be a $100 million guy, and he ended up on the White Sox. Was the White Sox recruiting pitch to him, hey, we'll put in a bidet for you, and have you tried the bidet? Because if you haven't, I'm telling you, you need to go in there and try it.
I lived in Japan for a couple years. My dad played over there, so the bidet and the power of the bidet, I get. But yeah, I think the bidet conversation happened after we signed him, so it wasn't part of the conversations in free agency.
Okay, well then what happened to him? Because everyone's like, he's a $100 million guy. He's got a chance to hit 30 plus homers every year. I'm super stoked that the White Sox signed him because I think he adds that power bat in the middle to go with Teal and Montgomery and some of the other guys that you guys have coming. So how did the White Sox get him? What was the pitch? Were you in on the pitches? Were you in there saying, hey, I played in Japan. I know a little bit about the culture. Maybe you speak a little bit of Japanese. You did go to Harvard, right?
Princeton, but no Japanese in my back pocket. No, not at all. And really, the process happened really fast, and I just jumped in on the tail end with the Zoom call, just to introduce myself and talk about the things that are important to our organization on the field level and the clubhouse level, just to give them as much insight as possible. And that process again was really fast and not something that I was really a part of up front until it got to that Zoom call. And yeah, I think it's just, great that we were able to get him. We know that this guy's a special player, a special talent. And, I couldn't tell you the first thing about free agent markets or anything like that, but I'm happy we got him.
Okay, speaking of being impressive, Munetaka Murakami continues to impress. We saw him blast his first home run in front of Sox fans at Wright Field. Just again, it's like, how has he made it look so easy?
Well, I just love the swing. It's effortless. I've said this so many times to you and others. It just looks very smooth. He's not trying to do too much. People have heard that cliche before. You know what it looks like when a guy is swinging out of his heels or, taking wild swings with two strikes. He doesn't do any of that. But I think the surprising part is the pitch selections, the swings the balls he's swinging at and not swinging at. Like, the strikeout totals are not that high for him so far. He's been making good decisions, and that was the knock. I go back to when Shohei Ohtani came over, Tina. Maybe we're not rating Japanese hitters the way we should be, or not we, I mean the industry. People are not high on him as a hitter. He's one of the best hitters in the league, if not the best. Murakami, didn't get a lot of huge offers, right? The White Sox kind of slipped in at the end and offered him a $2
mil.
Yeah, it's nothing.
It looks like a steal right now.
Right now it does. It's only been a week, but let's see how they adjust to him and he adjusts back. But I think some of these hitters, Seiya got a much bigger deal when he came over for the Cubs. So maybe we're not judging them the right way. And I just like his decisions at the plate and the way he swings at balls. He looks much more mature than any rookie in normal rookie in Major League Baseball. Of course, he's played professional ball over in Japan, but he just looks very comfortable so far.
This was a guy that people thought was going to get $100 million somewhere from a big market club, probably. And It was about like people not being sold and it converting, that he slid down to taking a 2-year deal, kind of a prove it deal with the White Sox. And for someone who's had the highest of highs in international competition to kind of come to a rebuilding team and be like, he wants to know all of his teammates. He wants to like become friends with Chase Meidroth and Miguel Vargas. He wants to, know about Chicago, and he wants to buy into what like the coaches of this team are telling him when he's had all the success abroad. Like, he's been a guy who's like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it 100%.
No, there were so many question marks around whether or not his game was going to translate to the Major League Baseball system here in the United States.
Sox signed him 2 years, $34 million.
I think it's all right? And I think you're already hearing some rumblings of we got to get this guy here for a long time, right? But I do want to just talk about the fact that he's elevating the guys around him. And I kind of touched on this earlier when we were just starting our White Sox conversation. But I think what Munetaka Murakami is bringing to the White Sox right now is just sort of the ability to want to win these games. And it's not just about, hey, can we compete? Can we be a little bit better than we were last season? He's a competitor, and his personality, I think, is really translating and really lifting everyone in that dugout.
実力を証明するための契約がわずか1ヶ月で長期契約の話に変わっていました。正直に言ってここまで早く流れが変わるとは現地メディアも想像していなかったはずです。それにしても現地が口を揃えて打席での判断が新人離れしていると語る村上選手。なぜ村上選手はルーキーながら打撃ランキングの上位に名前を並べているのか、打席で何が起きているのか。現地が驚いているのはパワーやスイングだけではありません。スイングのメカニクス、選球眼、メジャーの球への適応プロセス、村上選手の打席をありとあらゆる角度から解き明かしていきます。ではご覧ください。
It absolutely was. Raise your hand if you had Murakami at the top of the home run leaderboard in 2026, tied with Aaron Judge for 13. Wow, what companies he's keeping. D-Row walked in, Case, and said Eric Nace, researcher to the stars, gave him a manifesto that there's really too much information on Murakami. So you got to teach us everything you know about this guy.
I mean, his teammates love him. This thing had weight.
It had weight.
He gave me 1.5 pounds on Murakami.
Give you a packet.
Yeah, they went out. They said, Robert, on the off day, and had the sushi dinner. He's bringing boys together. You're probably the worst person for me to have do this because you are the complete opposite of this guy. You're shooting balls the other way. This guy
is not.
Well, I think he's playing with one third of the field. But I think it's sustainable. Watching like Kyle Schwarber go about it, we'll comp him. The numbers are kind of eerily similar. I know it's a short sample size, but this guy broke Sadaharu O's single season record for bombs over in the NPB. He's had monster. I laid eyes on him in 2023. So right here, bring up the first board of what he's doing in his first 32 games in the show for the White Sox. All right, there we go. He's tied for first in homers, slug he's 17th, walks a ton, hard hit percentage he's second, barrel percentage he's fourth. Case, wow, he is a three true outcome monster. But I think it plays. I want to dive into some of his bombs, see what he does really well, see what he struggles at, some adjustments he's going to have to make. Okay, 2023. We're winning the game 1-0. Obviously, we didn't have the memo. You're supposed to elevate heaters to him because that ball was absolutely flushed off Merrill Kelly. But look, he's made subtle changes from 2023. He was a little bit more closed off. 2026, since he's come over, a little bit more open. Give me the side angle of it.
Bat tip, more of a bat tip setup.
There you go. Pause that.
Yeah, he's more out.
A little bit more into his legs right here. Nothing crazy.
Front elbow straighter on his setup than it is here, yeah.
Hands are a little further back, push back in 23. So he's made subtle adjustments. The one I noticed, though, is him opening up that front hip a little bit more, giving him a little bit more clearance to the pull side and Case. He's not even thinking about going the other way.
No.
Let's get into some of his bombs, and we're going to go through this a little bit. Because there's one thing that jumps off the page for me when I watch him hit on a nightly basis. The balance point. His eyes never move. We talked about this with McGonigal. A lot of moving parts, but his head stays still. When you watch Murakami hit, I mean, he is cemented in the box. His feet ain't sliding around the box. He's never off balance. Yes, he's a ton of swing and miss, and there's some holes in his game. But if you leave it over the heart of the plate, he absolutely destroys it. He catches every stitch of these things.
Well, you know what, too? There's a little bit of the Aaron Judge, like, you know, can you bring that back? Because I want to show, like,
run that back.
It's the thought of, so watch the leg kick come back. Just run it slow if you can. Right there, pause right there. So it's the thought process what we talked about. Yeah, he's loading the back hip, he's staying on the backside. That's where he generates his power. Then he does a great job of staying through the baseball, but it's the thought process of the one, you know, ready to launch. One, when it hits, two. So as soon as that front foot hits, he's ready to roll. Watch, you can see it right here. As soon as that front foot hits, watch, he's gonna launch. And that's it right there. Hold the backside with the leg kick, and that front foot hits, it's launch time.
There he is. All right, the reason I bring up A-Rod is because I don't think anybody did it better as far as their foundation. Run that back for me real quick. I have to show people what I mean. You can't just throw A-Rod up there and not explain it. Run this and pause it. The thing that always enamored, first off, A-Rod's a monster.
Yeah.
But when he would hit the ball for a homer, he would sit there, his legs, everything. He could almost sit down and have like a cup of coffee. And when I watch Murakami swing, the head doesn't move. He's boom.
Right. Yeah. Everything's
the foundation of what he's doing.
Is so balanced.
Yeah.
I think
okay, run it. And then the front hip being wide open. He has made a decision. I'm gonna try and pull everything because his spray chart's crazy. Plays a little bit with center field, but everything is on this side.
The one thing about this spray chart is, do you ever see single and home run? He has no doubles and no triple. I've never seen anything like it. I looked at his stats.
He's outhouse or castle.
I said, I want to see how many doubles and triples that.
0.
2 donuts. 0. So it's singles or homers.
All right, hot changes, Dev. There you go. Highest slug to pull straight away. Look at your boy Mickey Moniak. Ben Rice.
He's just some of the best sluggers in the game. You're talking about the guys that are the best.
So what is he susceptible to? Everyone's susceptible to the high cheese and some nasty off-speed stuff. But if you leave it over the heart of the plate, you don't have to be perfect on off-speed pitches. Nobody hits devastating splits and nasty sliders. But the hangers, look at the balance. Yeah. Watch where this ball goes. It goes into the trees.
Yeah. He's going to have to be really, really good at staying on these balls that are mistake off-speed pitches like that. Just some that leak back over the plate. Because the splits are real with velo, D-Row. The splits are real as far as the velo goes up.
Run that back.
Struggles a little bit more. But he's going to have to make his money off these pitches.
This is one of the coolest home runs of the year, right? Watch Murakami hit this. Watch as this ball's leaving. Check out the sunset in Arizona. Wow. You think he's fit? Look at that.
What? Yeah, nice get right.
Think you're having a moment if you're him? Sun setting, I'm going for a stroll on a changeup that just leaks.
Yeah.
All right, so I wanted to bring up Kyle Schwarber because it's interesting. If you look at it, fastballs, Schwarb's absolutely hammers. Breaking stuff, he struggles, but if they're over the heart of the plate, they still add to the homer totals.
Right.
So he's going to punch out a ton. Listen, it's his first 30-some-odd games in the show.
Right.
And he's got 13 big ones.
It's impressive.
And he's kind of changed the narrative around the White Sox a little bit with him and Colson Montgomery.
And Schwarber was the third best hitter in baseball with those numbers last year. So if you're comparing Murakami to Schwarber, you're talking about a guy who could be in the MVP voting.
One thing he is going to have to work on, but in case I'm interested to hear your thoughts, we can get back in. We've heard this with Trout. We've heard this at times with Acuna, that they're susceptible to top rail heaters. But you run this, and if you miss over the heart of the plate, anything middle down is destroyed. Just lock in on this. This is Drew Pomerantz coming up next. Left on left, he picks this off the bottom of the zone and kills it. And then I want one more from Sacramento, and I want you to lock in on where this lands because this is a grand slam. Batter's eye. We're going over it.
One of the biggest offseason moves for the White Sox this year has been getting Munetaka Murakami. First off, what have been some of your impressions of him? Obviously known Japanese slugger back home in Japan. He's got a really explosive bat, hit 56 homers in one season. What have been your impressions so far?
Mune is great. He wants to be great, and he is so open to all the tools, equipment that we have, and obviously this is a prolific hitter. He's one of the best hitters to ever come over from Japan. There is unbelievable power, but also great skills, great contact in there. But unbelievable guy, can't wait to throw problems at him, and we have machines that he's never used before, different bats, different balls, so we want to expose him to as many things as possible and have him problem solve like he does.
For players that come over from the NPB and obviously are trying to transition here to the MLB, what are some of the biggest challenge for them?
One of the main things is just the quality of pitching they're going to see on a nightly basis. They're seeing great stuff over there. A lot of the Japanese pitchers really rely on splitters, so they see a lot of splitters, but when you come over to America now, it is velocity, 5 different pitch types. So just getting him used to seeing velocity, especially 95 plus on a nightly basis. And luckily we have a traject machine where you put a pitcher, Yamamoto, on the machine. It shows him throwing his actual pitches. So we call it exposure therapy. The more we can expose him to the problems he's going to face in the game, the velocity, the spin, the movement, the better he's going to be at making those adjustments.
What have you learned about him as a hitter?
That he's got a lot of power, but yeah, that he's got a ton of adjustability, and you know, I think the most impressive thing for me has been just the plate discipline, you know, and his ability to, you know, make these swing decisions. Has been
the manager. What is it like to see him hit the home runs, especially here at Wright Field, and the reaction you get from the fan base too?
Well, it's special, you know, and to have a guy like that, and a number of these other guys are playing really well too, you know, and when you have guys that are playing well in front of the fans, it is special, you know. I mean, that's what it's all about. It's all about performing well and getting wins for the fans. And you know, they show up. You want to give them something to root for, and these guys have done a great job of doing that.
Ryan Fuller was telling me in Arizona how I think you guys called it exposure therapy with Mooney, kind of like using a machine with different pitches to help him adjust to MLB pitching here. I mean, just from day one, what you guys have been able to help him with, how are you seeing that pay off now in season with him?
Well, he's prepared, you know. He's able to make adjustments pitch to pitch. He's seeing, you know, shapes from these different pitches that he's solving for pregame, you know. And I think that's really important for him as somebody who hasn't seen some of the velocity or some of these shapes, but also for our guys who have been here. You know, that's something that's an important part of how we prepare, is just making sure that, you know, you're spending your time before the game, you know, creating solutions for some of the problems you're going to see on the field.
I think I've been surprised that the little slump he had after the home run in the first 3 games in Milwaukee wasn't a little more extended. And I think there will be a funk that carries on a little longer. You know, I mean, I was talking to someone from the Sox the other day. We pointed out that last year at the All-Star break, I think Pete Crow Armstrong had 29 home runs, right? And he finished with 31. Now, in fairness to Munetaka Murakami, he had tremendous numbers in Japan. He was a Triple Crown winner in Japan, so he's got a little more of a base than PCA did. But I think the key thing with him is there's a number of key things. A, his approach is unbelievable at the plate. You know, you do not see him chasing too many bad pitches, if any bad pitches at all. B, he hits mistakes, and that's a sign of a great player. You cannot make a mistake anywhere near the plate with him. If you do, it's going to go 400-some feet. And see, he just has that great approach. And I remember Jose Abreu, who I think is a little like the Murakami story, that, you know, he always had a very set routine. Like if you wanted to talk to him one-on-one, you kind of had to talk to Billy Russo 2 or 3 days before you planned it, because his routine was so regimented that, you know, you had to find a spot for it. And it wasn't that he was bad about it. He was great with the media, but he just didn't want to break what he does. And that's the sign of a good player. You know, the good players, I've said this 1,000 times, whether they're 0 for 20 or 10 for 20, they don't change their routine. They know.
Munetaka Murakami, if you study him, I looked this up, but he's got the top bat speed between the 2 baseball teams here in Chicago. You combine that with his strength, and when you really watch it closely, he's not even getting all the pitch whenever he's hitting these home runs, but it's the bat speed and the strength that's been really impressive combining for all these home runs, Tyler.
And you know, I think the craziest stat for Munetaka so far this season, he doesn't have a double. He doesn't have a triple.
It's either single, walk, strikeout, or home run.
Yeah, I mean, it's a true, like, 4 outcome kind of guy. But the fact that he doesn't have an extra base hit besides a home run is one of the more ridiculous stats that you'll see. But it also goes to show what his power is. Yeah. He's going to get all of it, even though he may not square up the ball. But he's going to get, because of that bat speed, like you mentioned, Tina, he's going to get every single bit of every pitch.
And another one said, well, once pitchers get to see him and get more looks at him at bats, like maybe that slows down. Do you believe that pitchers will be able to adjust at the power and swing that Murakami has?
To some degree, but I think he can adjust as well. You know, his first 5 home runs, I want to say, were all fastballs. He was only really hitting velocity at the first couple weeks of the season, and he's kind of already tweaked his mechanics in a way that you're seeing him hit breaking balls and stuff like that. Like, I remember talking to Sir Anthony Dominguez just last week about how he couldn't believe the swing that Murakami had this homer against the Nationals, where he's fooled by breaking ball. He's like lunging out on his front foot, and he hits it 400 feet. And it's like, if you're a pitcher, you see that swing, you think, I've won the at-bat. To turn around and see the ball leaving the yard, it's incredible. So you're like, it's a cat and mouse game, as they often put it. Like, as much as pitchers can, adjust to him, and the contact rate's really low. He strikes out a lot, and you can see the idea that he could have a slump, at some point in the season that looks pretty ugly because he doesn't, collect singles and doubles the way other hitters do. But I think there's a capacity for change with him too. That it's going to go back and forth a little bit, and you're already seeing that.
ハードヒット率2位、バレル率4位、シカゴ2球団トップのバットスピード、頭の動かないバランス、悪球をほとんど振らない選球眼、そして暴露療法による徹底した準備。ここまで打席の凄さを見てきましたが、現地の証言を集めていくと、もう一つの異変が浮かび上がってきます。それは村上選手がいるだけでチームそのものが変わり始めているということ。打席で結果を出すだけなら、過去にも何人もの日本人スラッガーが挑戦してきました。しかし村上選手が現地で評価されているのは、チームメイトを引き上げ、クラブハウスの空気そのものを変えていることです。ではご覧ください。
Yeah, there was a great story over the weekend about Munetaka Murakami taking his teammates out to a traditional Japanese restaurant in San Diego and having them try all these different foods. And it's one thing to see everything that he's producing on the field offensively. It's another to hear about how he's really ingratiated himself in the clubhouse, and it seems to be like a seamless fit for him as well. What's impressed you about how he's come into the big leagues, whether it be on or off the field?
Have a story coming out later today about his interpreter Kenzo Yagi, about how he's had to learn like all this terminology about like hitting mechanics and physical training, like all these like muscle groups and how to say it in American Japanese. And it's just all about like Murakami wants to know everything. He wants like all the information that's being given. So his commitment, the intensity at which he's like embracing everything and wants like, maybe it'll work, maybe it's not, but I don't want to like have any stone left unturned. I think that's like, okay, this is why this guy's really good. Like, he's got this intensity of his approach that, kind of permeates everything he's doing.
But I do want to just talk about the fact that he's elevating the guys around him. And I kind of touched on this earlier when we were just starting our White Sox conversation. But I think what Munetaka Murakami is bringing to the White Sox right now is just sort of the ability to want to win these games. And it's not just about, hey, can we compete? Can we be a little bit better than we were last season? He's a competitor, and his personality, I think, is really translating and really lifting everyone in that dugout. You look at a guy like Colson Montgomery, who you wanted to be the star, and now Munetaka Murakami is also the star, and they're kind of got this dual competitive, but also this really fun relationship where I think they're getting the best out of each other, and that's what's so cool to see from a guy like Munetaka Murakami. What's really fun about the home runs that he's hitting is that it's coming in meaningful moments. It's not just in garbage time or when the game's doesn't matter. Like, these are game-changing home runs that are really creating momentum for a White Sox team that needs it.
It's, they won a World Series in 2005 with Tadahito Oguchi at second base and Shingo Takatsu starting the year as the closer. They both have been in camp. They're both in the Japanese media now. They both have been there to see Munetaka and Dodgers people, of course. But even with them winning World Series, Murakami is the biggest player they've had from Japan, and it just opens up excuse me, sorry about that. It opens up so much in that, Pacific Rim market for them. Just not even just in terms of players, future players, but just in terms of interest, because he really is a big name over there. He's, I think, their single season home run leader, right, when he had 55 one year. So, excuse me, he is just, he's a standout. He is, I've said, player earning the most notoriety on the Sox since Tim Anderson in like his all-star batting title stalk-off game in Iowa prime. So it'll be interesting to see how he handles it as the year goes on, because, he won't be perfect. He's going to have his slumps and his highs and lows, but I think he's in a good place to handle it all as he gets there.
オールインという姿勢、モンゴメリー選手との切磋琢磨、そしてティム・アンダーソン以来の注目度。低迷期にあるホワイトソックスにとって村上選手は単なる主砲ではなく、球団の風向きそのものを変える存在になりつつあります。打席で結果を出し、チームの空気を変え、球団の未来まで動かす。ここまで来ると ある一つの疑問が浮かんできます。なぜまだメジャー1年目の村上選手にこれほどのことができるのか。その答えは技術でも才能でもなく、彼自身の人間性にあると現地は語っていました。ではご覧ください。
Yeah, first of all, I think the thing that sticks out is just the personality. Speaks a lot better English, or at least understands more English than I certainly gave him credit for. Just a really personable guy, charismatic. There's just an energy about him. And I think the thing that really stands out too is, this guy's a winner, man. He just wants to win. He'll do whatever it takes. It's really come through in the conversations, how he goes about his work. He's very committed to improving on defense, which is something that, of course, I love to hear. We love to hear as we value defense and know how much that means to us.
What's impressed you most about how he's adjusted to MLB pitching?
Yeah, it's all been impressive. Obviously,
you even fully put it into words, like how impressive it's been.
No, because I think we expected that he was going to perform well. I mean, obviously, we go and we sign the guy, and we have high expectations. I think it's fair to say he's exceeded those expectations, and just really being a consistent performer from day one, and doing it in a really special way. And so, yeah, as impressive as that's been, for me, what's been most impressive is that really from day one, the way that he's integrated into the clubhouse, the way that he communicates with guys, the way that he's built connections and relationships is really special. He is a big-time contributor to our culture and our clubhouse, and in that way, it's been really impressive too.
Bond with him and some of his teammates here, Colson Montgomery and Miguel Vargas too.
Yeah, I don't know how it happens. He understands a lot more.
He's got a great sense of humor. I'm like, I need to know more.
Yeah, he's got a great sense of humor, and he understands a good amount of English. He doesn't speak a ton of it, but he's able to communicate and build these relationships.
Mune is great. He wants to be great, and he is so open to all the tools, equipment that we have, and obviously this is a prolific hitter. He is one of the best hitters to ever come over from Japan. There is unbelievable power, but also great skills, great contact in there. But unbelievable guy, can't wait to throw problems at him, and we have machines that he's never used before, different bats, different balls, so we want to expose him to as many things as possible and have him problem solve like he does.
What has been, in terms of like the language barrier, because obviously there is a language barrier here, but what has communication been like with him and some of players that do come from Japan?
Mune has a really good sense of the language already, so when you're talking to him, he is picking up things, but he has Kenzo, his interpreter, with him by his side the whole step of the way. So us making sure that we're giving him information that he's going to be able to apply quickly, but also understand in a really quick manner.
He is. He's got a good sense of humor from talking to the players. He's talkative. I learned from talking to him after a game in Scottsdale that he's very process oriented. He has a very strict regimen, and that includes diet, and his cheat food is ramen noodles. So cheat food, that would be like most people's health food, and that's his cheat food. I asked him, do you ever eat pizza? Nope. Sweets, sugar? No on both those. So he's very process directed, and that's the sign of a lot of great players I've covered. A lot of great players I've covered, hitters as an example, whether they're 0 for 20 or 10 for 20, they don't change things. They believe in what they have. They tweak things, but they don't make wholesale changes. They don't say, oh my God, I'm 0 for 20. I got to switch everything around. They say, no, this is a slump. It's a long season. I'm going to get it right. And I think he's good about that. He's a tireless worker. The Sox have talked about that. They gave him things to do, and he went beyond that. And he kind of, shrugged that off and said, I'm just trying to win here. I'm trying to be, a good player here.
That Mune has had on this clubhouse. Colson Montgomery got to talk to him for a bit, and he told me Mune has an awesome sense of humor. Can you just touch on the bond that Mune has created with some of these players in there, but also just how he's risen to be a true leader for this team as well?
Yeah, Derek Shulman was saying, the hitting coach was saying that the other day to me. I was talking to him in Arizona, and he said that, you get him going in the meetings and he'll crack jokes and he'll be, he's just one of the guys. He really just fits right in.
最も感銘を受けたのは人間関係を築いてきた姿勢。チートはラーメンだけ、課した以上のメニューをこなす。日本から来た史上最高の打者の一人。立場の違う3人の証言が村上選手のスタッツではなく、その姿勢に最大限の言葉を使っていました。打席での選球眼、ジャッジ選手との本塁打王争い、クラブハウスを変える存在感、そして それら全ての源にあるオールインの姿勢、$3400万での獲得を現地は今本気でお買い得すぎたと語っています。そしてその評価をさらに後押しするように、村上選手は今この瞬間も記録を更新し続けているのです。それにしても個人的に最も信じられないのは、メジャー1年目のルーキーがあのアーロン・ジャッジ選手と本塁打王争いを演じているというこの1点につきます。ジャッジ選手といえば2022年に62本塁打を放ち、ロジャー・マリス氏のア・リーグ記録を更新した現代最強のスラッガーです。その男とメジャーに来てまだ1ヶ月強のルーキーが本気でホームラン王の座を争っている。正直に言ってシーズンが始まる前にこの光景を予想できた人は一人もいなかったのではないでしょうか。大谷翔平選手、鈴木誠也選手と続いてまた一人日本人打者が現地の評価を覆していく。これから対戦相手も村上選手を研究してくるでしょう。スランプも来るかもしれません。そこで最後に皆さんにお聞きしたいことがあります。村上選手はメジャー移籍1年目で本塁打王のタイトルを獲得できると思いますか？あのアーロン・ジャッジ選手を相手にシーズン最後まで競り勝てるのか、それとも対戦相手の研究が進むことで後半に失速してしまうのか。皆さんの予想をぜひコメント欄で教えてください。最後までご視聴いただきありがとうございました。この動画が良かったと思っていただけましたら、ぜひ高評価とチャンネル登録をよろしくお願いします。